Hello, welcome everybody. How are you? Thank you for joining us today. I am just going to take a moment here and let some folks join on before we get started. But if you want to take a quick moment to introduce yourself in the chat, we would love to know where you are from, the pronouns we should use for you today, and our icebreaker question is, what is the first sign of spring in your state? For us here in Michigan, it is robins and peepers. So I'd love to know what is going on in your state. Thanks for joining us. I see some more folks coming on. Once again, I'm Elizabeth, the volunteer coordinator with Moms Clean Air Force, and I'm so glad you can join us today for our climate coffee break. Our shorter, focused conversations designed for a quick, busy day while still digging into our timely issues. First, once again, if you wouldn't mind sharing where you are from, because it's always nice to see where folks are from in our community and where we've gathered for our coffee break. Again, my name is Elizabeth and I'm from Michigan. I use she, her pronouns, and the first sign of spring in my state is the robins and peepers. If we could all just stay on mute too while we have the conversation, that would be great. Raleigh, California, North Carolina, we have daffodils and grape hyacinthias. Ooh, I bet those smell lovely. San Francisco, the caucus, yeah. Insurance renewals, yes. Climate, yeah. Oh, the plum blossoms, also. I'm getting all sorts of sensory. This is great. Well, thank you again. Daffodils. Oh, yeah, definitely. Well, before we begin, just a quick couple housekeeping notes. We'll keep everyone muted to minimize background noise, and we'll invite you to use the chat throughout the conversation to ask questions. Secondly, this session is recorded for educational purposes, but we do edit out the audience questions in the final version to help keep this a safe and supportive space for our community. And we hope you have lots of questions for our special guest. I also want to introduce my colleague Sam, who will be joining us behind the scenes. Sam will be helping us populate the chat with helpful resources like petitions and fact sheets, and she will also help monitor and facilitate questions during the conversation. Today's conversation is part of our Moms and Merit series, where we will connect community voices with local leadership and talk about real world climate and public health decisions. We have someone that is not on mute. Could we please put ourselves on mute? Thank you so much. Today, we are focusing on the intersection of clean energy, extreme heat, and air quality, and what it all means for families, especially moms navigating these challenges every day. Across the country, we are seeing rising energy bills, worsening air quality, and more frequent extreme heat events. These conditions are not just uncomfortable, they create a financial strain and pose serious health risks, especially for our children. At the same time, clean energy solutions like wind and solar are becoming more accessible. They can play an important role in reducing pollution, lowering energy costs, and helping communities become more resilient. But there's still a lot of questions, like what does clean energy really look like at the local level? How can we have it support families in practical ways? And how can moms and local leaders work together to move these solutions forward? And that's what you're here to explore today. I'm so grateful to be joined by Mary Wagner, our Nevada organizer, who brings both personal and professional perspectives to this conversation. So, to start, can you tell us a little bit, Mary, about yourself and your experience as a mom and how the issues of clean energy and extreme heat are showing up in your daily life and community?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me here. It's a pleasure to be here with you to have these important conversations with our community members. As you mentioned, my name is Mary. I am the Nevada field organizer with Moms to Mentors and Comadres. I am a mother of two. My oldest is asthmatic, so have to deal with his respiratory issues when they worsen during extreme heat or during the times that we have really bad air quality. Our state, unfortunately, already has that air quality. We've had an F for the last few years. So it's something that we're battling here in our state, and it's very personal to me and to a lot of moms in our community.
Yeah, we find this work is really personal for a lot of our moms and our community members. Sorry to hear about your son. I also have a child with asthma, and it can be difficult, but it also can be good because, from your perspective, how can local leaders and you connect these clean energy solutions like solar and wind and make them feel practical? And the benefits for families, especially for moms who are thinking about health, safety, and costs.
Yeah, so clean energy at the local level it should look like a practical solution to families. And here in Nevada, we're very blessed to have sun all year round. So clean energy often means solar panels on rooftops, community solar projects, energy efficient homes, schools and public buildings powered by renewable energy. Because again, Nevada has like sun almost all year round. We are the perfect state for that. And you're very uniquely positioned because of that solar benefit that we have here in our state. So our long sunny season makes it perfect for solar panels. And so having those conversations with local leaders, having those conversations with people that are in positions to make these decisions for us as a state. It's really important, ensuring that we're educating not only our community members, but also our local state leaders.
I know in the past, because I know you as a person and I've read a lot of your EPA testimonies and some things that you've done on our mom's website. Please go and visit and see what Mary has done. But one of the things you do is you help connect and talk about protection and how solar and wind help, with those solutions and protecting families from climate impacts. So, how do you see clean energy fitting into the big picture of keeping our kids and our communities safe?
Yes, protection, I think for us as moms is really important, especially for our children. So when I think about protecting our children and our communities from extreme heat, climate impacts, clean energy is part of creating a more like safer, more stable future. And here in Nevada, we are experiencing long periods of high temperatures, which affect our daily routines and health, and how much our families have to rely on electricity just to stay safe during the summertime. We're in the springtime right now, and our weather has been a little off. And I think every year we're seeing that the heat starts earlier in the year, it's lasts longer in the year, it's stronger every year. We're hitting record numbers every year. And so unfortunately for the safety of our family, we have to use our AC during the summer. And we're seeing people in our community that are having to take very hard decisions, shutting down the AC during extreme heat hours because it's really hard to keep up with these utility bills, and not to mention the health impacts on our children.
Yeah, I'm sure that's got to be a tough choice. And as you said, in Nevada and a lot of our southern states, they're having, more of these heat waves, heat dome situations that can be so detrimental to our kids. Um, and I know sometimes as we talk about wind and solar with some of our communities, and we're talking about how they are the best solution, the zero emission solution, so our kids have healthy air, clean air, and water. But are there some concerns or questions that you hear most often from moms about solar or wind energy? And what has helped build trust and move forward those conversations when there are some concerns?
Yeah, absolutely. Like anything new, I think that we always hesitate and we have questions. So there can be hesitation simply because people are not familiar with how clean energy works or how it applies to their home situation. And so a lot of the questions that we get here in our state is renters. They often want to know and they ask if there's options available for them. And many families want to make sure, of course, that they're making a safe but also informed decision before committing to something. So, what helps us here build that trust is connecting families with reliable information, with trusted partners in the community that can answer these type of questions, be clear and honest about clean energy. And so we work with like organizations and experts to provide workshops where community members can learn about solar works, how solar works and how it would benefit their families, how it would benefit them financially. We just had a cafecito, which is something that we have every few months, and we're bringing an expert in these areas who can answer these questions for our community members, and that can also guide them on who and where to go and what to do, so that they don't feel like they're in this by themselves.
They are definitely not in it by themselves, and we do make ourselves available, to answer questions. We often are a bridge and sometimes in our communities, to provide the fact sheets. There is quite a bit of misinformation out there. And I just want to know, like, what can moms and local leaders who want to take action, who want to be more involved in, being good stewards, promoting these clean energy technologies to help advance this. How can they get involved in supporting clean energy in their communities?
Yeah, I think that one meaningful step is simply staying informed, participating in community conversations about energy and health, attending local workshops, community meetings, information sessions. Another important thing is also getting involved by sharing your personal experiences. I think that we don't realize how much power our story has until we put ourselves out there. And it's really hard to do. A lot of times, a lot of us don't like to share stories. We don't like to talk in public, but being able to participate when these decisions are being made is very important. And so staying involved in things like PUC and hearings, legislative sessions, just be a part of making the decisions to ensure that decision makers understand that the decisions that they're making affect our family on a daily basis.
Yeah, being once again the voices in our community, making sure. I know there are solar projects that are a lot of times proposed at a very local level, and finding out when those conversations are happening, joining your town halls or your commissioner meetings. Depending on where you live, it could be any one of those things. I know I find a lot of those on the public works page from your cities that you can find. Also, you can usually find them on Facebook pages. Do you have any other recommendations, Mary, where you have met with locals?
Yes, absolutely. I always tell people in my community, get involved with organizations like Moms Clean Air Force and Eco Madres in your community, because if there's one thing that we do as an organization is we educate ourselves, we gather the information, we put all the resources together for you, and then we hand it over to our community members because staying involved is very hard. There's so many moving pieces. There's so many decision makers. There's just so much that's going on, and we already have a busy life. We're working and moms, we're caretakers. We have a lot going in our life, so sometimes it's very difficult to do the work by yourself. But that's why there's organizations like Singer Prison, like others, that make it a little easier for you to stay informed, to stay active in the community. And that will keep you up to date with what meetings are coming up, what hearings are coming up. And if you're not able to make it to these hearings, because a lot of times these conversations are happening when we're working. And so that's what Moms Care First and Victim Mothers is here for, to ensure that we're gathering that information for you, that we're providing that information for you, and that we're also creating a platform for you to be able to use your voice.
Thank you, Mary. I appreciate you sharing that with us and in your community in Nevada, and with our larger audience here today. And if you had a chance, please check out the chat. As we were talking here, there was a petition, some fact sheets that were shared. And this is the part where I get to open the floor to all of you to ask questions of our expert here, Mary, or myself.